Yeah, I guess we can go through the agenda. I mean, I think that I just dropped the agenda into the PM General channel. And in terms of our role holder elections, we have like kind of a shake up. And I wonder if we should extend the the process a little bit because of the fact that Renee's not going to be running for coordinator, so that means GCal is going to be running for coordinator, and then we also had like a little bit of a stutter start with JP. So I guess I was wondering if the guild thought it was appropriate to extend our role holder um, nomination process. What do you guys think?
So I'm curious everyone else's thoughts before I give mine.
Any thoughts from anyone?
Well, I think it's a great idea, but, especially because of the governance part. We're having issues about who is active and all. I think we should give it time, maybe a week more before the election.
Yeah, there was definitely something missing in terms of that active guild member. Uh,
So that's what was missing.
so the JP was not counted as an active member just because of like a glitch on the spreadsheet when he should have been counted as one.
So active member is either completing two Kanban board tasks or attendance. So yes. I think that so don't mind my voice. I've been sick for a couple of days. I think active membership was last counted on the 7th. And at that point, when it was counted, JP hadn't finished those tasks, and that's why, or maybe finished one and not the other, and that's why he wasn't counted as an active member.
Oh, really? I was under the impression that it was just that the sheet itself had not been like the formulas for the sheet had not gone through.
I could be wrong. So that was my understanding, was that as of the 7th, that he completed I'm not sure the date. That he completed after the 7th, when active membership was last counted, and then last week on the 14th. Sorry.
I think what I took from that is he probably finished the task, but it wasn't moved to completed. It was still in progress. I think the person that gave him the task didn't move it. It was just moved later on, and everything was just balanced after all.
Do we have a link to the latest?
I was going to say I went back and did a little research on this too, and is there a task that got archived? Because I only see one of his tasks incomplete.
Yeah, like
I assigned it. I think I assigned a task to him, and the task was for both. It was for, I think, Spirited and GCal, and JP. I don't know, or Great and JP. Someone, yeah. So it was two. It was for two people actually, for visibility of PM Guild. So I think along the way, the task was somewhere between guild visibility and then talent work stream. So that time I was stepping in for GCal because we couldn't make the call, and I was trying to like get people to do the tax and everything. So I guess when it came back to office, I kind of like just went through the tax and left them because I thought, okay, he's working on them, and I haven't asked him for feedback. So I think that's on me.
yeah, and I also think that like just I know that he invited Ethereum cat herders and he produced that PM Guild pamphlet. So even if it's not on the Kanban, and I it should be on the Kanban, it's not for whatever reason. Even if it's not on the Kanban, we all know that he's an active member, right?
Right.
Yep.
Right. So like we should like when people slip through the cracks like this, we should do
So
our
things I
best.
think
Go ahead.
Sorry. I think it was just that he completed that after the 7th, and the active membership was counted on the 7th, and Renee asked last week, like, should we recalculate the active membership before, we do the roll elections? And it must have been decided no, or said no, and everyone was okay with that. And that's why he fell through the cracks.
Yeah. I mean, I guess like another thing from a practical standpoint too, we need people who are going to be running for role holders. This is someone who was interested and is maybe a little bit disenfranchised because they felt like they weren't being represented, even though they have done some great work for the guild. Like, I think that, like, what you're saying, maybe it's true. What GCal said in the role holder applications, he said that he looked at the sheet and JP does show as completing 2 Kanban tasks. Can I get a link to that sheet? Do we know where that sheet is? But from what I just saw there,
Yeah, and I had him completing 4. I saw him completing 4 tasks. 4 tasks.
yeah. So I mean, to me, he's clearly an active member, right? And
He is. I think it's just the date that, like, and maybe that's the problem, is that there shouldn't be like a date that active membership is calculated, or active membership should be calculated the date that something is being decided.
I
Therefore,
think,
not
I
to
think the problem, I think the problem here is there are some tasks that JP has done before, was not kind of included in the Kanban around that time. So if we were to look at the poster, for example, should have been something that is assigned on the bounty board on the Kanban. If it had been on the Kanban, I think he was already an active member then. He only took a break from the PM guild because he had this IRL job. I think he came back after that. So I think the tax, if I had gone through the tax, or maybe kept tabs on the tax, we would have been marked complete before 7th. I think on what Sprinkle said, I think we can still work with the date. Or that was on me. I'm just trying to, like, let you know that was on me, not on GP. I lost track of that tax, actually.
I'm also wondering, like, I feel like we're missing a spreadsheet. Oh, I think Renee. Yeah. There's like one that says 9/12/2022. Is that the one? Because that seems like old, right?
Yeah, I think that is the one. It just got repurposed with the title. I'm not sure, Jay Fanny.
Well, there may be 2 then.
Wait, what is that? The meeting attendance?
Yeah. Oh, there's like I mean, just the title of that sheet is September 12th, 2022, right? So that's clearly old, but at the time we had Renee had said that he had done it earlier. And even in this one, it shows him as having finished 2 Kanban tasks. So JP is an active member. He was an active member then, even if we don't count after the 7th. So he was an active member just by virtue of having done the Kanban board.
Yeah, and on that spreadsheet, when this discussion came up, he had the 2 in Kanban, but in the members he wasn't there. And I just scanned members. I just went to it and I scanned down members and didn't see him. And then it wasn't until after I went and did some research, it was like, oh, he just got missed coming over. So it was just an unfortunate kind of a transfer issue, I guess.
Yeah.
I'd be interested in your perspective on this, though, Lynx. From a roll holder election perspective, I have, and maybe this is where the voting would kind of weed it out, but I have a hard time with someone applying who has never attended a meeting for an entire season. Because
Yeah, I mean, so I guess like the perspective on this particularly is we want to be able to work asynchronously, and this meeting is at midnight for him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So
that's
kind of tough, right? And like I do see what you're saying, that like, oh well, he hasn't been to a meeting, so how can he be an active member, or how can he understand, like, the guild's needs and stuff, but maybe he won't. Maybe he won't win, right? But he
Well,
should
that's what,
still be able
and
to
that's
run,
what
right?
maybe that may weed it out. Is that it's like, oh well, he's not active at these meetings, and as a role holder, I think some percentage of attendance for this meeting is pretty important. But unless you are able to craft your updates in an asynchronous way, or do have someone's giving them by proxy. But I'm just feeling this out.
I think like if we, I mean, in terms of like actual output, he is contributing.
Yes.
Right, like
Agreed.
he created that pamphlet. He invited Ethereum cat herders. I think he did a few other small tasks as well, right? So my initial instinct is, I don't know. Let's see. First of all, let's see if he wins, and second of all, if he does win, let's see how this role actually works asynchronously. But either way, he's contributing, and as a result, he should have all of the perks of an active contributor. So I mean, what's the consensus around the room in terms of like extending our role holder nominations, or kind of pressing the reset button and doing it a little bit again now that we have a better understanding? Is that something that you think we should do as a guild?
I'm intentionally gonna wait because I'd love to hear from others that didn't apply or may change decisions kind of based on everything that's going on. So I'd love to hear from some other folks out there.
So I was going to do the same, but my only thought here would be like for GCal. So if you applied for coordinator and say didn't get it, now would you not be able to, you wouldn't be able to keep the talent coordinator role, correct? Is anybody following my line of thinking here? Like that.
Yeah. So
So
that
then
we could have an empty role, is what you're saying?
have an empty role, or have both roles be filled and say like neither by GCal, which he already say would have filled the role of the talent lead, but now has gone to apply for the coordinator role instead. And then say he doesn't get that and somebody else applies and gets the talent coordinator role. Now
He's losing the advantage that he had for
yeah.
I totally understand that. And so
That's
it's the same with
only.
you. It's the same with I think Jay Fanny, who as well applied. As we said, right? So you guys are losing an advantage here, and that's something that not an advantage. Let's say you guys are losing the unopposed running that you had been doing, which I totally understand if you'd have an issue with that. But yeah, I'd like to hear from the three of you. I mean, that's the same for you, Sprinkles, right? If we redo our governance nominations, it may be that someone else runs against you.
It may be, and I'm okay with that, because the like of the active membership thing, and thinking that the calculation was done on the 7th, and it whatever the case may be, I'm okay with that, for that reason, for fairness.
I'm perfectly fine too. For fairness, anybody can come up with a role and come up to take the role. It's actually a good thing to have competition in the guild. So, if you have your activeness or you've taken up two carbon tasks, can actually come for the role.
I'm okay with it as well. If it feels like it makes the best sense to let's start now that we have more information going into it, then let's redo this process.
Okay. Rerun our governance processes. So I'm going to put this in the meeting notes as a decision. We'll rerun our governance processes. I wasn't as engaged as I could have been the first time around, but I guess like I'm wondering who should run this process, because Renee is kind of out. Do you guys need me to run this process? Is that as someone who's not applying for a role, who's been part of the PM Guild, I can run the governance process. I may be not super effective at it, but I will probably be more effective than Renee, who's kind of a little bit overwhelmed at the moment.
I think if you have the time, we'd appreciate that.
Yeah, I agree, Lynx. That would be great.
Okay. So effectively, and I see there's like a very small article on role election guidelines. What I want to add in addition to that is like there is going to be like a nomination window of like what, a week? I think a week is, in general, I don't like to do anything in the DAO less than a week. But just to accommodate different time zones and different levels of ability or time. So I kind of want to do it like as a week, and then have a poll for a week. So we'll know in 2 weeks who our new role holders are. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so I look on the 4th.
Why don't we go one at a time? Go ahead, Sprinkles. Did that make sense?
It did make sense. So if I'm understanding correctly, for 1 week as of when will the polls go up?
I'll put the nominations in
Right.
PM governance, and I believe there are, and I have to check the budget again, but there's guild coordinator, there is talent coordinator, there is education coordinator, and there is accounting.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so these are the 4 roles. So 1 week for nominations. So this time next week, we'll kind of get together again. We'll say, okay, here are the people who were nominated, or like you can self-nominate as well. The idea is that I will create a thread for each one of those in PM governance. I will tag PM active guild members in that thread. Actually, I won't even just tag PM active guild members. I will tag all PM members, because even if you're not eligible to run for a role, you certainly are eligible to ask questions to the people who are nominating. So just to keep the entire PM guild, even those who are not active contributors involved, I will tag the PM guild in the threads that I create for this. We'll have nominations, and then I will create polls next week. Next week we'll come back to this meeting. I'll say these are the people who self-nominated or were nominated by others, and we'll just like have like a little sync on that, a check-in, and then I'll create the polls this time again next week, and those will run for a week. And then at the following meeting, 2 meetings from now, we'll basically know who won the role holder elections, and we'll know who our role holders are for season 6. And next season, we'll do this midway through the season, so those role holders kind of understand what's coming before the end of the season rush. Make sense?
Yep, it does.
Yep. Lynx, I had to let the dog out because he was going nuts. From the voting perspective, is there a way to set up the polls so that it uses the PM Guild active
Yes.
member tag? Cool. All right. I have updated everyone, and Ray Bankless, I have verified this via Sobel. So that's all set to go. Everyone that is an active member in that spreadsheet has the tag in Discord now.
Awesome.
Links, can we update? I just put the project management role election guidelines in the chat here. Can we update?
Yes, I will update that as well
Thank
as the person who is running the process.
Thank
1 week for voting. 1 week for nominations. 1 thread per participant.
Also, links.
Yes.
So just to help members that are kind of like nominating for the poll, some don't actually know how to use the search box very well, like on Discord. So I think we could also copy what Skilled usually do. They set up the poll. You can do that because you are the one handling the governance. So you set up the poll and you make it open to anyone that wants to add options to them. So people that want to self-nominate can add themselves, and people that want to nominate someone else can also add that person.
I was gonna say that for the nomination process, it will just be like messages. So you write down, I am gonna go for guild coordinator, and this is why. And if I was like nominating Makiel for a role, I would say like, oh, I think Makiel should be the guild coordinator, and this is why. And then I will take all of those nominations in the thread and I will put them in a poll. So I didn't want that like editable poll kind of thing. Just because I wanted to do a sanity check before I created the polls. Otherwise, it could get hairy if someone puts in an option that's like they're not an active member but they win. What do we do, right? I wanted it to be a little bit more, let's call it secure.
Yeah, got that. Yeah, cool.
And this is a work in progress. I think we're a guild that has, I think, 4 seasons later than most of the other guilds. So we are going to be working on this as we go. Feedback is always appreciated. Feedback is a gift, so feel free to give me that gift of feedback anytime that you have something to say. All right. That gets us past our role holder election process. GCal, now that you're here, you can take on the meeting. You can chair the meeting now.
Great, thank you. Let me bring up the. Give me a moment. I was coming hot out of a fiat meeting, so I don't have myself organized here. I'm gonna share screen and bring up the Notion. All right, so we've worked through this first part of the meeting. Links, thank you so much for stepping in and being a part of this. So anyone who just joined, you can see the decision and the action here. So from a talent work stream perspective, not much of an update. We've gotten through the engagement survey that we talked about, and there's a subgroup that's running some of those pieces. And really the next part of what I want to pull together at this point, it feels like it starts to bleed into season 6. So if there is a different talent work stream lead, this is part of what we talked about last week around they kind of be carrying out the vision or the momentum that we've put in place. But Sprinkles and I had a really great call with Bankless Academy. We've worked through the budgeting to make sure that we have some funds available to build this out. But it's starting to use their what we're able to build through there to provide education materials at all different levels, and they actually have some hooks into being able to use that as part of onboarding. So I'm excited to see where that builds out. That feels like the next evolution of what came out of the engagement survey, which was having better onboarding and then understanding how to contribute in a meaningful way. So those are 2 things that are kind of near and dear to my heart. And then the third piece, again, kind of going into season 6, is going to be looking across the DAO and finding places where project management is ongoing and really digging in and hopefully doing some interviews there to find out what needs are there, what activities are going on that the PM Guild either could help build some education materials out to support or potentially even provide some talent. So those are really there. There isn't a whole lot of action right now as it feels like it's all ramping into next season, but those are the things that are going on. Sprinkles, did you want to give a education workstream update?
Sorry. Yeah, so, it's kind of at a little standstill, waiting to see what's going to happen for next season. But I feel like we could get a little bit done right now. So we are looking to partner with Bankless Academy and roll out project management education material, whether it be a full course or specific classes. So what we're looking for right now is any educational content that anyone feels would be valuable for a Web3 project manager to learn, and that we'd be able to, make a course or a class with vocabulary and quizzes to come of that. So I can, on the Kanban board, there's one of the little blocks is kind of an outline of what we're looking for. I'll link that in here or put up a visual of it. And if anyone has anything that they'd like to add to it, that would be great. Also, if anybody has a course that they're able to teach that you want to like present, or like a practice trial run to the guild, we'd love that. And then we can see how we could, roll that out into a class. That's about it. I'll put that link in here. And I also, did I don't even know what to call it, like a visual. And I'm looking for some feedback on it. It looks really basic, but anyone that's good at that stuff, logos, design, I'd love your feedback or help with that. I will link that all right now in the chat.
Thanks, Sprinkles. The other thing, and Link's had to drop. Oh no, you are there. I saw that you dropped a message in there, but I haven't had a chance to look at it. But really trying to get some rigor around the bounty process for all the work we approved, and then also work with Jay Fanny to get an accounting process in place. And I'm happy to also bridge a gap. Links that I dropped a message over in BB General of if I can help build out requirements or be part of use cases for a guild adopting accounting flow. I'd love to help with that.
Yeah, absolutely. That would be super helpful. I think that taking the PM Guild and the bounty framework here and using that to upgrade bounty board to the PM Guild processes is like a win-win for both groups.
So going forward to season 6, will we have funds to remunerate, like help with the creation of educational content or the design of it, the content that we need?
According to the call that we had last week, I believe so, right? Like
Okay.
there was that question, that very pointed question I asked, which is like, after all of the weekly bounties and roles, how much do we have left for actual efforts? And it ended up being a larger number than I thought. So I do think we will have funds for that.
Okay. So how would, so if somebody had material on road mapping, how would we decide a bounty for that? How would we, as a guild, do that?
So that's a little bit trickier.
Okay.
I think that like some guilds have like going rates for certain like designs and that kind of thing. Internally, we kind of ask, oh, how many hours are you spending on this? And it's kind of like 1,000 bank an hour is the is the kind of base rate. But we can also, as things get easier, we can try to reduce that as we go, or we can also ask, like, throw up a quick poll and say, like, how much do you think that this task should be worth? And then just get like a quick consensus check from the guild on that.
Okay, so I'm reading, Jay Fanny had wrote, I think we should bounty out to make an educational material to help people understand the types of project management. So I agree with that. How would we decide, like, what constitutes for quality?
I don't really understand the question. What do you mean? Can you say that in a different way?
Hopefully. So if I turn in what I think is a great, great educational content on how to be a Web3 project manager. But it might be my idea of great, but not the guilds.
Yeah, I mean, we could just get we could get a quick consensus check by posting a sesh poll that says hey, do you think that this is shippable? With a link to your output, and if more people say yes than no, then we can be okay, it's good.
Okay. Do you think it would be fair, say, to ask me or whoever is submitting it to present it to the guild, do a trial run to present it to the guild?
Yeah, I mean, so I guess at the end of the day, if I was educational coordinator, I would want to be the one who's deciding whether or not something is good enough, right? Just because I have a different view of authority than maybe some other people. But if I have responsibilities towards creating educational content, then I would say that I need some authorities around that educational content, and some of that would probably be I want a budget, and I want to be able to disperse that budget as I see fit. And so the things that I was saying, kind of general, quality, someone does something for the guild, it doesn't fit into a bucket, and we're that's great. We should give this person some bounty. Then we could do one of these consensus checks I talked about. But if it's specifically an educational coordinator is creating a Bankless Academy educational course, and they need a certain type of content, that person, I think, who is leading the initiative should have the authority to say whether or not this is good enough to pay the budget that they requested out.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It does. Yes.
Links. I was thinking of the example from that we went through with John A on the bounty board video of I put some requirements out there. He recorded the video. I said I want BB Core to approve this. I needed you and Chikloon and whoever else to look at it and say, yep, that's what we're looking for. And turns out the first time around it wasn't. And I think I learned a lesson there, and that was actually part of the retro we did around making sure the requirements were good and setting that person up for hey, you're gonna get a round of feedback on this, because I think that caught him by surprise. So I think as long as we build the requirements as thoroughly as we can and acceptance criteria as thoroughly as we can, but then also set the expectation of there might be rework here, because I don't think he anticipated rework. And so he thought it was going to be 3 hours, so it was 3,000 bank, but it may actually have taken him 5 or 6 because he got feedback and had to re-record. But I didn't set expectations well around that.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. It's definitely good to have that definition of done written down somewhere.
Lynx, I know you said you could only stay for part of the meeting. Are you still available for a few?
Yes, I am. My other meeting got canceled. So.
Oh, great. Did you want to give an update on the retro we ran? Is there anything that'd be good for the guild to hear?
I mean, in general, I'll just update. I didn't have a chance to process and think through the retro, but I didn't extract themes, for instance. So I think we did that in the retro itself. But essentially, I did post it in PM General. So we had a retrospective for the BBPM cohort. This was I can try to post it again, but this was essentially just a retro like any other retro. We did a little bit shorter than others, and you can take a look at it again. I'll repost it if my mouse works, but essentially just some lessons learned from there. I think overall many people had some I think both the bounty board team and the PM guild, and the people who were involved, I think everyone got some value out of the process, and there was definitely some areas to improve. I think up front, setting expectations, and understanding the product a little bit more, was something that came up. I'm just opening it up now and seeing what are the themes that we had. High level context is the way that we said it. Another thing was focus on async learning and teaching. So kind of identifying what is async. What does that mean? What are the kind of gotchas about async work, and then supporting the cohort, more check-ins, a few more syncs. There's a little bit we could have done better on the support side, but overall, I would say that it was a success, especially for our first cohort. And some things I want to do out of this is, well, first of all, make sure that this is on our Notion somewhere. So close the loop on that. And I also want to send out some credentials to Mikiel and GCal, who quote unquote passed the cohort. And I want to do those from the PM multisig because I think it's important in terms of provenance that it comes from there. So this is our first cohort. I hope it won't be the last. I don't think will run one necessarily this season, but or at least not I won't necessarily run one like formally this season. But I think that it was a good experience and a good way for people to learn PM. So I do want to revisit this again. I just don't have the capacity to do it this season.
Awesome. Thanks, Links. Appreciate the update. Yeah, I liked it. That was a nice little quick hit retro that we ran too. We did it about a half an hour, and I thought we got through a lot of content and agree. It was a really nice, like it provided value to the participants. Myself, I learned and I got to learn on the job, and I learned about how to use the bounty board, which I'm using weekly now, and also gave value back to the DAO. So I thought it was a really, really nice model. All right. Sprinkles, any other content from you around education or any other discussion there?
No, other than I'm, going to be looking for much input and information as everyone's willing to give.
Great. Jay Fanny, could you snap attendance for this meeting and post it in here? Just one way that we had. And that's it for our agenda and prepared content. So at this point, really open the floor to any other topics to discuss. The news bites.
So GM everyone. So I was thinking of something, but I think it's more of a GCal thing. But someone asked me for the PM logo a while back. They were doing the tax and they asked me for the logo. So I said, we don't have a logo for the PM yet. We are using the Fig 3G. So I was hoping we could like host a contest maybe before the end of this season, so we can unveil the logo by the beginning of next season. How about that?
So
Just to be sure anyone hear me.
great idea, McKinney. Did somebody just do a logo? I feel like I just took one. Did somebody just did for us or no? Am I incorrect?
A few people did logos, but I don't think we like landed on one that's like the official logo.
Okay, then cool.
I think, Mikhail, do we want to follow kind of the similar process to what we came up with around the election? Is let's put up for a week, kind of design the logo, and then a week of voting on it.
Yep. So I had this this document I used for the Relationship Guild logo contest. I could share that with you, so you could some of the content there that could be useful for this one.
Yeah, and if you have done this and want to, go ahead and run the process.
Okay, we can do that.
So real quick, GCal, should I used one that I saw the other day. I assumed that was our logo, not knowing that it was not. Should I?
Right.
I mean,
Yeah, right now we don't. To Lynx's point, we've had a few people toss them out there, but we've not really done anything with it and never made one official. So I think that'd be great if in the next couple of weeks we could have an official logo.
yeah, I agree. So I used one on, that I think I showed it to you the other day, like that.
Oh, yes.
Should I remove it? Remove it. I don't want to be using something I shouldn't be using, or.
I mean, I feel like if you, you can permissionlessly use a logo that you like.
Okay,
Deal, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
thank you.
Anything else for discussion today? Well, I
About
know I
War
missed.
L2.
Go ahead.
I said, how about Warriors up for L2? Right, if everyone wants to go for Warrior for L2.
Warriors in L2. Everyone go vote for him.
I thought this would be more exciting, right? Yay!
Yay!
Woo! Making it happen.
I don't know
Congrats,
if we.
Warrior.
Yeah, congrats. I don't know if we addressed it at the top, but I just want to say, especially in. Oh, go ahead. Are you there? Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Congratulations. I think Renee set a really great example of this this DAO stuff, this Web3 stuff. It can be consuming and you're always on and it's very easy. I know I have felt stretched really thin. I've felt weeks where I'm in the groove and it's hard. And I'm just really I've loved getting to know Renee and working with him as a guild coordinator. I'm really proud of him modeling this behavior for all of us. He's at a time in his life where family's got to come first, and he's making that choice, and he knows that we'll always be here to support him, and he's always got the home to come back to. So I just he's been chatting with Sprinkles and I as he mulled this over the last week or so, and I just think he set a really good example for all of us that we have to remember we're people too. We have our families, and we should take care of ourselves. So make sure you're all taking care of yourself along the way as well.
Yeah, stay dehydrated.
They dehydrated?
Are you dehydrated?
Don't stay dehydrated.
There you go.
Yeah, you can't take care of others unless you take care of yourself first.
All right. Well, if that's it, Ray, thank you for your help with Soulbolt this week. It's been as I've been off and on really trying to understand it. That was a valuable use case to be able to have kind of a source of truth and a visual once we got it up to date. So I appreciated your help as I was pinging you on the side.
No, thank you for checking it out.
Otherwise, that is it. I hope everyone has a great weekend.
Sorry,
And I will mention that go ahead.
sorry, before we go, I just want to appreciate everyone so far for interacting with our Twitter page and the follow and the likes and the share also. And I want to implore everyone that is not yet following us to please try and follow and maybe retweet and like any content that will be shipping out there. We now have over 50 followers, and we hope by the grace of this season we should have close to 100, if not 100 followers actually. So thank you very much.
Oh, that's awesome.
We have
That's huge.
51 now.
Great work, Vicky One.
Vicky, do we have a link at all, or?
Yeah, I posted the link on the general channel. Just check it out.
Thank you.
I just want to mention to everyone as well that the nomination threads are all there. So feel free to get in there and nominate and self-nominate if you feel so inclined as well.
All right. Well, thanks. This was a really great discussion. I know I appreciate it. Sorry I had to jump in a few minutes late, but hope everyone has a great weekend, and we will same time, same place next week. We'll see you then.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.
See ya. Thanks, everyone.
Have a great week.